Welcome back, everyone. Going to the fourth and final hour here of week 47. Adam, where are we going?
Well, I've got so much experience for Berg and for Ramus. So, yeah, Enoch died and Jiva exhumed stage left. So the two remaining characters just get to split the XP in half instead of in four. So let's see here. Let me just do a little
That's kind of crazy.
divide by two. All right, the two of you get 6,800 experience.
Jesus.
Berg, you probably hit
6,000.
7, right?
We're
Yeah.
almost 7.
Level 7.
6,000.
25,860. I'm level 7 now. Old burgers.
There you go. So much experience.
That's nuts.
So yeah, I guess you can level up. You can do that business, Berg. Yeah, congratulations on your giant pile of experience points.
What is what's level 8 experience level?
I don't know.
Sorry, do you just go off the normal 5e, whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Max, you get something called Feral Instinct.
I remember reading about that before, but what does that do?
You have advantage on initiative rolls, and if you're surprised at the beginning of combat but you aren't incapacitated, you can act normally on your first turn, but only if you enter rage before doing anything else on that turn.
That's pretty great.
Advantage on initiative rolls is awesome. That's so good.
Yeah, that's been Berg's like Achilles heel for a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, I'm gonna take initial damage before I can soften it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and if you're surprised, you still get to do stuff. But I love that you have to rage to do it. It's cool. Yeah. So it's just like you snap into combat. It's instinctive. Cool. Yeah. I mean, do you want to roll for your hit point?
Yeah, then you got to do your HP rolls.
I like how you say it like HP rolls is like that has to be the thing. You have to roll.
Yeah, I mean, I've switched to the scene and everything.
Do you want to? I mean, do you want to roll? You would get what's your Constitution modifier? I feel like we just did this. What's your Constitution modifier?
12 or sorry, plus 1. 12
All right, so you either get 8 hit points or 1d12 plus 1.
You're not going to get, I mean, I rolled and did very well, but the chances of that are really rough, man.
Yeah. I'm not going to roll. I said I wasn't going to roll. It's less interesting for people, but you know what? I'm just going to go with that extra 8.
Okay. Yeah. Smart. Okay. So where do you go after this happens? Like, where do you just go back to the abandoned inn that's like right next door? Where do we see you? Where do we see you, the two of you, when Ramus is like awake and well or well-ish again?
Yeah.
And you have points.
It makes the most sense that Berg would go back to the abandoned inn, just because that's his point of he doesn't know where else to go. He knows that's probably the most logical place for Berg's mind, that he won't be bothered. So he just lumbers there the whole way, just thinking about what just transpired, what Ziva did and all that. And just, he's just kind of mindlessly walking that way, very preoccupied, kind of long stare, into nothing while as he stumbles through.
Okay. And so what do you do with Ramus? Do you just like put him in bed? Like there, buddy.
I don't know if he puts him in bed, but he definitely just like, I think he might just like bring him into the inn, and since he's exhausted himself, he's just gonna lay him down on the floor, maybe like fashion, like bring like a satchel, or not a satchel, you know what I mean, a fucking burlap sack of something just to be his, something to put his head on, and then Berg himself
sack of
slumps.
potatoes. Just put it under his head. Okay.
And then Berg himself just slumps to the ground, and maybe against the door or something, or next to the door.
All right. So Ramus, sometime later you awaken in the inn. How do you wake up? Do you wake up like slowly and groggy, or is this a like shocked awake?
Like, I will kill you.
Like lunging around with your weapon.
Where am I? Berg?
Berg's out.
Man, that was one hell of a dream. Oh God. Where's Gideon? Oh my God. How long have you been out? I guess I'm still kind of exhausted, so I just pass back out once I'm awake, and we both lie there sleeping on the floor because we're both just out
Okay.
of it.
All right. So the two of you, sometime later, you awaken to hear on the door. You hear a knocking.
Yeah, Berg probably just like a little.
5 more minutes.
And again, more insistent.
Oh, God. I go to the, Ramus gets up really angrily and goes to the door, opens it, and is like, what?
Okay. So when you unbar the door, it kind of gets pushed in, not like aggressively. No one's trying to bust in, but they're just like, and you notice it's raining outside. It must have started while you were asleep. So it's just like rain pouring down in the streets. And you see someone wrapped in a heavy cloak with a like conical like bamboo hat, push their way in. And you hear just like, God, took you long enough. Can't you see it's raining? And the person like pulls his hat off, like shakes it on the ground. And he's covered in rain. And he looks up and like brushes the strand of black hair out of his face with a blue tattooed hand. And he says, I'm soaked. Thought you were going to keep me out there all night. Looks over at Berg. Hello, boys. Like throws his coat off and like, turn shakes it, walks over to the fireplace, which is empty. And he's like, what, no fire? Berg, go see if you can find some food in the kitchen. I'm starving. And he like hangs his coat by the fire and he kneels down and he looks over at you, Ramus. He's like, he points at the fire, like, can you make this? It's cold in here.
Fine. Just snap a sacred flame on the log, light it.
Yeah. So the fire lights. He's like, and he like sits back. He pulls over a chair, sits down, and like pulls off his boot, like sets it on the floor, pulls off his other boot, puts it on the floor, like leans back. Like, that's better. He looks over at you, Berg. Did you get up and like?
I think
go
Berg just stood up and is like, just looking at him.
And he's like, did you not hear me? I'm hungry.
I don't think he knows who you are.
And he looks at the two of you and he's like, kind of like looks at himself. It's like, huh. And he like shakes his head. And his hair, like as you watch him, he like shakes like a dog and like water kind of flicks off him. As he shakes his head, his features like shift slightly. And he seems to lose some like musculature but grow taller. And then he finishes and he's got a pipe in his hand. And he like takes a drag off of it and the cherry like lights up his face. And you can see it's Hassan.
Yeah, once Berg actually establishes who it is.
Like breathes out and he's like, there you go. A little more familiar.
Ah, you. Welcome, sir. Would you like an ale?
He says, no, just enough time to warm my feet by the fire and maybe have something to eat. He looks pointedly at Berg.
Berg just like looks at him and is like, fine, and then walks off.
Yeah, and he says,
yeah.
and nothing with any eyeballs in it. And he like laughs at you, Ramus, like,
Very funny. Very funny.
You hear like this from the pantry or wherever.
So he looks at you, Ramus, and he says, well, you made it out. That's good, at least. Nice work.
So, did we accomplish what you wanted us to?
And he says, oh, it's not what I want, friend. It's what the tower wants. And yes, you've caused sufficient destruction, I think, to accomplish your goals.
Well, I am glad to hear that the tower is pleased.
He looks as though he's about to like contest you on a point, and then he just shakes his head like it's not worth it. He says, I wanted to tell you, things are complicated in heaven. I may not have a mission for you for some time. Some things are shifting.
What does that mean exactly?
Now, I'm not comfortable saying this usually, but I don't know. I have one foot in the door and one foot out. Sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm there. They don't tell me everything. The gods are mysterious.
That they are.
And he says, he says, Berg, if you have to butcher the thing, it's not worth it.
Berg only makes one thing, and I like to call it smash. It'll come out in a bowl. Just pretend like you like it. Makes him happy.
He says, I don't employ him for his subtlety. So, what happened to your noble friend?
I'm not sure, but I guess that he didn't. Berg, where the hell is that nobleman?
As he's saying that, Berg comes in with like just a bowl of like really fucked up bread, like just kind of smashed together, and he puts some salt over the top.
Right.
He just sets it down like.
Yeah. And he picks it up and like pulls a piece and like puts it in his mouth. He's like, I've had worse. So, Berg, your friend.
Dead.
He nods. Shame that. Well, better luck next time the wheel turns for him, I think. How did he die?
Not well.
Is there a good way to go?
Probably
Better. And he
arms
looks at
of
you,
women.
Berg. He looks at you, Berg, and he's like, better or worse than the monk?
Berg shrugs.
Yeah, and he just looks at you and shakes his head. He's like, oh, don't pout. It's unattractive, Berg. You did good. Well done. And he sets the bowl aside. I was just telling Ramus, you might not hear from me for a while. Feel free to do as you like in the city, but... And he looks at Ramus. Keep your eyes open. Change is coming. It might not be safe here. If you have to leave, leave. When I can get in touch again, I will.
What kind of change?
He looks at you and grins like he's excited for it. And he says, the only kind we know, Berg. Destruction, fire, lightning, death. So that we can rebuild, of course.
Oh,
that's not-
cleansing. Nice.
Yeah, and he nods. He says, we've set something in motion here, boys. Something significant. Sometimes from the starting line, we can't see the finish. But I think you can expect that the city of Brass is going to see troubled times.
And what do we do? What do I do? And Berg like kind of motions to his shitty fucking arm.
And he looks at you and kind of like scowls and he's like, funny. Then looks back at you, looks at your face and he says, consider it a leave of absence. You boys are on vacation. I'm going to go back to heaven and have some conversations with the Bureau.
What is the Bureau?
And he gets up and he's like looking around and he's like picking up his coat and he says, oh, don't worry your pretty little head about it, Berg. When there's something to wreck, I will let you know. Until then, and he looks over at you, Ramus, and he says, I think you have unfinished business with a wizard.
Indeed, I do. We had a certain bargain she hasn't fulfilled yet.
And he nods and he says, well, good. Hold her to that. We can't let wizards just run around doing whatever they please. It would be chaos. And he's like pulling his cloak on around his shoulders.
God forbid there'd be chaos.
And he looks at you and he says, Ramus, if I didn't know better, I would say you had no soul. And he laughs and he looks at Berg and he says, keep this one under control, would you? He's picking up his hat, shaking it, putting it on. And so he goes over to the door and he opens it, and you can hear like a crack of thunder outside. And he looks, and he looks at you, looks back, and he says, "Would you look at that?" And then he steps out into the rain and just leaves the door open. It like bangs a couple of times against the door frame. Like he just looks at something outside and then walks away.
I think Berg just walks over outside and going to grab the door, but curiosity gets the better of him, and he like looks outside just to like look, does one of these, pokes his head out, looks around.
Yeah. So he's gone. Like Hazan has just disappeared into the rain, and through the rain you can see the dark sky above. The streets are all abandoned because this neighborhood has gotten bad and weird lately. But you can see up on the hill there's a flash of lightning, and the house is on fire. There's like fire kind of like pouring off of it, and it's like exactly like in your vision, right? Like you see the house and you see the fire, and you can swear you can hear people like screaming at a distance as if hearing them through deep water. And then it's gone. It's just the sound of the wind blowing, but the house is still like, and we can see part of the house like crumble in and like throw ash into the rainy sky. Yeah, I don't know. Do you say or do anything, or is that the last thing we see of just like you with your hand up, like looking at the?
No, that's the thing. He like stares at the house for a second and like looks around a little bit, and then he just like, and then
Yeah, slam the door. Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah. So I think from here, obviously JP talked about what is next in the story of Court of Swords. JP, we'll talk about what kind of character you want to make and how to kind of get you back in the game and see where we go. There's more to be done in the City of Brass, but also y'all have like a bit, as Hazan said, like a bit of a vacation to take on your own mission. So if you guys have ideas of things you want to do, this would be an awesome opportunity for you to say like, maybe JP, you want to be someone that hires them, or maybe Ramus or Berg have a plan. Jiva, the house was the first step on a long path, and I may come to you in time future and ask what you think Jiva would do. But yeah, you're in cahoots with a mysterious new force in the universe.
Awesome.
Yeah, and have left the House of the Falcon behind. So yeah, that's where we're at. Cool. Thanks for playing with us, Anne.
Yeah.
It was great having you on the arc. It ended deliciously. I'm very impressed with how that went. Thank you.
And about where I thought it would. Yeah. I knew someone was going to die, but we'll talk.
Yeah,
about
there's no
that.
way one of us. No,
Yeah,
we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll mention that in the Patreon video. We mentioned during the break, but if you're watching on YouTube or anything, we'll re-mention it here. October is going to be a little bit different for Court of Swords. If you've never watched Dan stream, I don't know why, but in October, I don't know why you wouldn't, is what I mean. In October, he does a lot of horror stuff, and we're going to let him kind of do that for the month of October. So he's going to be departing the show for a bit, but be back.
Well, it's actually going to be a little different this year. So the next show I won't have to take off, because the marathon's only going to be for 14 days.
Okay.
So I'll be my normal schedule for I only need the last 3 Thursdays off.
Okay.
So
Well, we'll
fifth,
talk.
Fifth, I'm full. I'm good.
Okay. We'll definitely talk. But he's pretty busy during the month of October regardless. We've also got a bunch of big game releases coming out as well. So what we're going to do here on Court of Swords while we go into October is kind of a horror-themed show. Max is going to be joining us on that. We'll have Cinnamon Toast Ken on that show. Aurelian's going to be joining as the 4th member, and then Adam, of course, DMing. That'll go into the live show on the 28th that we're going to be doing here out of the house of October for a full-on horror. We're not saying Halloween. Adam doesn't want to use the term Halloween. It's a horror-themed show. He was very specific.
Yeah, I mean, if we say it's a Halloween show, people are going to expect like pumpkins and gravestones and spooky ghosts.
Yeah.
But it's not that. Yeah. I mean, I can talk a little bit about my idea for it if
feel free.
if you'd
Feel
like.
free.
Yeah. So the Court of Swords, the sort of social structure of the world, right? The formation of the courts, the solidification of the arcana as a thing, the idea of the structure of 4, right? The idea of having a knight, a page, a king, and a queen ruling over each individual social structure in the game. That was all created by humanity to make sense of the world in time immemorial. So thousands of years before our game is set, there was a time where spirits and gods walked the earth. Humanity was exposed to all kinds of danger. There were no churches, no clerics, and sort of like a world of shamanistic magic existed. And we're gonna set our story then. It is great for a horror arc because it's a time when lots of powerful, scary things were around, and humanity was kind of the bottom rung of the ladder. So we're going to play some characters that are in a place that's a lot more uncertain, a lot scarier. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. I think I'm really excited to see a world before the courts even existed.
And we'll be doing the character creation for 5e is a little bit different because it takes a decent amount of time per character, especially if we're playing. Did we talk about what level characters we're going to be playing, Adam? Are we starting 3? Are we going 5?
I don't think we figured it out. Yeah, we could do 3 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll figure out the character levels for sure. But because of if we're not starting at 1, character creation takes a little bit longer. So we might not do a full 4-person character creation video because that would be the length of a full show basically. So we'll figure that out. Those will go up on Patreon probably next week. I think that's when we plan on making all the characters. But apart from that, yeah, I think we're good. And then we should be back the first week or so of November with the normal show. Probably the 31st. If you guys want to do a Halloween, or no, Dan, you're doing Halloween stuff on 31st, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so probably the 7th is when we'll start then with the normal arc back then.
Cool.
Hopefully we'll have a guest for that. We've got someone in mind. I need to reach out and make sure that they can make those dates. But as we get closer to the live show, we'll make that announcement as well. So, yeah, I think we're good. I think that's it. And thanks again for being on the show. Sorry we kept you a little bit later than... I think you were supposed to be off the show end of July, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's correct. And here it is.
Close enough.
A couple days from October. So,
I don't think we've had a guest that just leaves when, like, yep, 4 weeks, bye.
yeah, we haven't for sure. Well, let's do some shout outs and then we'll go record a Patreon video. Max, we'll start with you.
I am GassyMexican on Twitch, YouTube, everything. Twitter's all there too. Variety streamer on Twitch, play games, being silly, internet goofball. I play Berg, who's still alive. And, he's pretty much the same old Berg story. He's coping with loneliness. I think maybe it's getting a little easier, but I'll talk more about that. For Berg's story. Yeah, thanks for an awesome show, and thanks, Anne, for being on this whole time. I hope you had fun. Definitely really cool having you on, and of course, as every guest does, affects the world in its own unique, different way that will probably have everlasting results. So, yeah, excited. We'll talk about it, and super excited for the next stuff that we're going to do.
Definitely. Dan, some shout-outs, sir?
Hi, I'm DansGaming, /DansGaming, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, variety streamer. Currently finishing up Divinity Original Sin 2. Should get it done tomorrow. I'm very close to the end finally after like 120 hours. And then later I'll be playing Total War Warhammer 2 that's coming out later this week and Cuphead. Been playing Ramus, who's kind of alive. We're not sure about that yet, but yeah. And it's been a lot of fun to play the character. I'm glad he survived. I was very worried about him.
Last but not least, Anne, some shout outs.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. I know, yeah, as you mentioned, I've been on for quite a while now, but I've been having a really good time with it. And so I was happy to stay on for more weeks than planned. I'm also a variety streamer. You can find me on pretty much every social media site at Ammunition. I will be streaming later this evening because I've been gone for the weekend. So I'm excited to play some Siege, probably with Lexi. And yeah, I don't have any more appearances planned for roleplay stuff, but I think JP knows that I love doing this kind of stuff, so I'm happy to talk to him about doing that kind of thing. If you guys have any questions about the kind of the decisions I made as a character and stuff like that, check out the post episode thread and the Patreon video. I'm happy to explain some of that stuff. So if you just want to @ me on the community page, then I will try and answer things as well. So thanks, guys.
Fantastic. Adam, I'll buy you some time here because I know you're furiously typing to make that thread.
I'm finishing setting the thread up. Yeah.
What's the name of the thread? Where are we going with?
Last but not least, and then least, Adam. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Something about an empire, probably.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, while you're doing that, multitask and do some shoutouts.
Okay. My name's Adam. You can find me on Twitter at skinnyghost or twitch.tv/Adam Coble. This week, the thing, if you're a Court of Swords fan, you might want to check out is I've been working on a little like micro RPG, like a fast play micro RPG for telling stories in the Court of Swords world. It'll probably end up getting published in the Patreon zine, but if you want to see me kind of like goof around with building it, you want to see what making a role-playing game looks like, I'm going to do some of that Thursday night. You can find all my scheduled streams on my events page. So I hope you will come and check that out. As Anne mentioned, I'm just pulling the trigger on, there it is, on the Q&A. So come on by and check that out. Otherwise, I will see you probably next time will be Nebula Jazz.
Yep. Season 2 Nebula Jazz starts up on this upcoming Monday, which is the 2nd at 9 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, that's right. Late show on that one. And then we'll figure out when the next Court of Sword show will be the 10th officially, but we'll figure out if we're going to stream that on Twitch for the character creation stuff or how we're going to handle all that. And then we'll have news later on in the month of October about the base show coming back with Dan and Max as well, and whoever our guest is going to be for that. So that'll do it. We're going to go record a Patreon video. You can watch that once we post it later tonight. Patreon.com/roleplay. Me and Adam also did a Q&A video earlier today, which you can watch the rebroadcast of with a bunch of questions from patrons. But that's it. And once again, we'll say it. Thanks again for being on the show. And we'll see you again in some, I'm sure, some future roleplay endeavors, whatever that may be. So we're out. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.